The little girl woke up to find her blanket wet. She realized she had wet the bed. This was bad news since she was staying at her uncle's house. If her cruel aunt found out, she'd be kicked out for sure. To avoid getting caught, the girl pretended to keep sleeping and skipped breakfast. Nobody in the family cared whether she lived or died. Her aunt was actually happy about it since it saved some food. Only her uncle came in to check if she was sick. After everyone left the house, the girl carefully got out of bed. But her sharp-eyed aunt still spotted her. This immediately earned her a harsh scolding. Facing her angry aunt, the girl quickly apologized. She begged her aunt not to throw her out. After much pleading, her aunt reluctantly agreed. But the girl had to wash the blanket herself. The girl cried in distress. She couldn't help thinking about her late mother. After dragging her small body through washing the blanket, she finally got to eat the completely cold breakfast. Right then, her bladder infection flared up. She went to the pharmacy and asked the clerk for some medicine. The clerk touched her head, and realized she had a fever. He told the girl to have her family take her to the hospital. But the girl was living under someone else's roof and didn't dare tell her aunt. She insisted the clerk sell her medicine. When the girl dragged her sick body home, debt collectors showed up at the door demanding payment. When the creditors couldn't find anything valuable, they grabbed the girl. Her aunt was afraid her uncle would blame her, so she desperately held onto the car door to stop them from taking the girl. But just then, her aunt's daughter came home from school. To prevent her own daughter from being taken, the aunt quickly slammed the car door shut. Just like that, the bad guys took the girl away. On the road, the girl said she needed to use the bathroom. She escaped when the debt collectors weren't paying attention. Just as the girl was about to get caught, a kind woman drove by. The girl ran to the car door and begged the woman for help. Seeing the bad guys about to catch up, the woman quickly opened the door to let the girl in. Then she drove off with the girl. After being rescued, the girl smiled happily. The woman felt sorry for the girl who had even lost her shoes while running. So she drove to a gas station and pulled out a pair of shoes from her trunk. She thoughtfully helped the girl put them on. She also bought the girl a juice. The woman said her name was Du Young. Then she asked what the girl's name was, how old she was, and if she knew where her home was. After the girl's explanation, Du Young learned that the girl's name was Young Soo. She was 8 years old. She used to live alone with her mom, but her mom died of illness not long ago. Young Soo became an orphan because of this. However, Young Soo didn't know that her biological father was actually a top-tier business tycoon. Before her mom died, she entrusted Young Soo to her uncle. Since arriving at her uncle's house, Young Soo had been looked down upon by her status-conscious aunt. Since she just arrived at her uncle's house and was kidnapped, she didn't know her uncle's address. Du Young had no choice but to take Young Soo to the police station first. After registering, she told Young Soo to wait there. Just as she was about to leave, she saw two thugs being brought in by police. Worried about leaving Young Soo there, Du Young decided to take her home. On the way back, they passed the house where Young Soo used to live with her mom. So she asked Du Young to take her back to see it. After getting home, Young Soo went straight to the attic. This was her secret base. Many memories with her mom were here. Seeing that everything was unchanged, Young Soo smiled happily. Du Young looked at Young Soo with sympathy again. Later, Du Young took Young Soo back to her house. She thoughtfully prepared a delicious feast for Young Soo. Looking at the food she'd never seen before, Young Soo's eyes lit up. She ate with great enjoyment. Du Young was very happy to see this and told her to eat more. But then Young Soo's stomach suddenly hurt. Du Young immediately took her to the hospital. At the hospital, they found out she had a septic cystitis. Then Du Young got a call from the police station saying they'd contacted Young Soo's uncle. Young Soo's uncle arrived at that moment. After seeing Du Young, he quickly bowed to thank her. Then Du Young explained the illness to the uncle. The aunt looked unhappy after hearing this. Du Young didn't say anything about it. She just told Young Soo to rest well and left with her bag. However, just as she walked out the door, she heard the aunt scolding Young Soo. She said they were poor enough already, and now Young Soo was sick, wasting their money. After hearing this, Du Young quietly paid for Young Soo's medical expenses. While Young Soo was hospitalized, everyone else had family members with them. Only Young Soo ate alone quietly. After being discharged, her uncle secretly bought her a pair of new shoes. Just as she was about to try them on, her aunt came out. Seeing the shoes her uncle bought for Young Soo, the uncle tried to say something but was immediately silenced by the aunt's glare. Then without a word, she snatched the shoes to give to her daughter Seo Hyun. But Seo Hyun was disgusted that Young Soo had worn the shoes and walked away without looking back. A few days later, the aunt caught a cold and fell ill. Young Soo not only bought medicine but also made hot porridge for her aunt. But the aunt still complained that Young Soo couldn't help with anything. Then she got up to drink some hot porridge. Just as she was about to drink, there was suddenly the sound of a jar breaking. The aunt rushed out to check. She found that the honey jar had been smashed. It turned out Young Soo remembered the medicinal food her mom made for her when she was sick before. So she planned to make it for her aunt. But she couldn't find honey. Her cousin came back, so she asked him to help find it. But when her cousin was getting the honey, he accidentally broke it. By the time the aunt came, the cousin had already fled. The aunt scolded her harshly without asking what happened. Du Young came to see Young Soo because she was worried about her. She saw that Young-soo's hand was injured from picking up glass. The aunt thought she was there to ask for medical expenses, so her face looked very unhappy. Do-young said she wasn't there for medical expenses but to see Young-soo. Then she took Young-soo outside. She thoughtfully put a bandage on her wound. Then she bought another jar of honey for Young-soo to give to her aunt. One day, the cousin asked the aunt for money. He didn't get the money and got scolded instead. But he didn't give up. He called and told Young-soo to help get the money. He said he had the aunt's permission. Young-soo followed her cousin's instructions and found the money. Just as she was about to take it to her cousin, the aunt discovered her. Young-soo quickly explained that her cousin told her to take it, but the aunt wouldn't listen at all. She thought Young-soo was trying to steal money. So she dragged her out the door and scolded her harshly. This scene was witnessed by Do-young, who had just arrived. Do-young quickly went up to comfort Young-soo gently. Do-young couldn't bear to see Young-soo suffer here. So she proposed to the aunt that she wanted to adopt Young-soo. She and her husband had been married for over 10 years without having children. Becoming a mother had always been Do-young's wish. She had taken a liking to Young-soo from their first meeting. The aunt was more than happy to have someone adopt Young-soo. Not to mention she also got a substantial fee. Young-soo successfully moved in with Do-young. This was the first time she had her own room. The layout was exactly the same as her little attic. This showed how much thought Do-young put into Young-soo. Do-young's husband abroad also learned he had a daughter. He said he couldn't wait to meet Young-soo. Soon after, the aunt brought Seo-hyun to visit Young-soo. Young-soo warmly welcomed them. But seeing Young-soo living in such a big house, Seo-hyun became jealous and ran outside. She even told her mom why she wasn't an orphan. Otherwise, she'd be the one living in the big house. Her mom was furious after hearing this. In the following days, Young-soo and Do-young were like real mother and daughter. They played happily every day. Young-soo lived a happy and wonderful life. However, unexpected disasters can strike at any time. One day, Young-soo and Do-young were going to the airport to pick up the adoptive father returning from abroad. Unexpectedly, a car suddenly rushed out halfway. Do-young couldn't react in time and panicked, jerking the steering wheel. A car accident happened just like that. After receiving the news, the adoptive father rushed to the hospital. After the surgery, the doctor told him that Do-young wasn't in immediate danger. But she protected Young-soo during the accident, which caused a head injury. She might become a vegetable. Since Do-young needed treatment in America, the adoptive father couldn't spare time to take care of Young-soo. So he had to ask the aunt to help take care of her temporarily. He promised to provide monthly living expenses until Do-young woke up. Just like that, Young-soo returned to the suffocating aunt's house. A month later, the aunt happily went to collect the living expenses. But she found no money had been sent. The aunt's face immediately fell. After coming back, Young-soo carefully asked her aunt for 1,000 won to buy a gift because a classmate's birthday was coming up. The aunt, who didn't receive the living expenses, immediately gave her a cold scolding. The uncle really couldn't stand the aunt treating Young-soo like this. So when the aunt wasn't paying attention, he secretly gave Young-soo 1,000 won. When Young-soo got home, Seo-hyun immediately told the aunt she saw Young-soo enter a store. The aunt questioned Young-soo about where she got the money. Young-soo didn't want to betray her uncle, so she could only keep apologizing. Seeing Young-soo wouldn't confess, the aunt angrily picked up a broom to teach Young-soo a lesson. Fortunately, the cousin stopped the aunt in time and shouted for Young-soo to run quickly. Young-soo had no choice but to run out crying. She came to the house where she used to live with Do-young. Looking at the house in front of her, Young-soo's heart was full of beautiful memories. From then on, whenever Young-soo missed Do-young, she would come here. In the blink of an eye, 8 years passed. During those 8 years, she thought about Do-young all the time. She posted all the words she wanted to say to her on the wall. In her spare time, she sold cheap bags to make a living. Meanwhile, the aunt used the living expenses the adoptive father gave Young-soo to take Seo-hyun to restaurants for big meals every month. While enjoying herself, she suddenly got a call from Young-soo's adoptive father. He said Do-young had woken up. This immediately made the aunt panic. Because all these years, she'd been keeping the living expenses meant for Young-soo. Now that Do-young woke up, it would definitely be discovered. At the same time, when Young-soo came home, she found a package for herself and got very excited. Because all these years, she'd been persistently writing letters to Do-young. But when she opened it, her face was full of disappointment. It turned out these letters were all returned because no one signed for them for a long time. What Young-soo didn't know was that this happened because her mailing address had been changed by the malicious Seo-hyun. Then the adoptive father commissioned a lawyer to find the uncle and aunt. He said he wanted to take Young-soo to America to live together. Although Do-young had woken up, the car accident's after effects made Do-young lose her memory from that time. Taking Young-soo there to live together would help Do-young recover her memory. Just then, Seo-hyun came back. The lawyer asked if this was Young-soo. The aunt quickly answered that she was Young-soo. It turned out that hearing Do-young had amnesia, the aunt immediately had evil thoughts. She decided to let Seo-hyun replace Young-soo and go to America to live a carefree life. Seo-hyun was already jealous of Young-soo, so she decisively decided to replace Young-soo and go to America. When Young-soo came home that night, Seo-hyun immediately asked her indirectly about the details of living with Do-young. Young-soo didn't have much guard up and told Seo-hyun everything without hesitation. Soon after, Seo-hyun successfully boarded the plane to America. On the way, she kept looking at what Young-soo had said, afraid of making any mistakes. Meanwhile, Young-soo was still waiting for Do-young's return. Another 8 years passed. During this time, Young-soo became obsessed with bags. She even opened a shop selling bags on the street. To understand international trends, she often went to the airport to photograph various designer bags people carried. One day, she saw a perfect backpack. So she boldly went up to ask if she could borrow it to take a few photos. The man had never received such a request before. Although a bit impatient, he still agreed to let Young-soo photograph the bag for 10 seconds. After Young-soo took the bag, she immediately started taking continuous shots. After finishing, she left satisfied. But just as she was leaving, she saw someone who looked very much like Do-young sitting in a car. Young-soo's eyes widened immediately. She wondered if she was seeing things. Just as she was about to catch up for a closer look, a man stopped her. It turned out the man's wallet was missing. So he suspected Young-soo, who had touched his bag, had stolen it. But after a search, they didn't find his wallet. Just then, someone brought in 2 thieves. The man's wallet was among them. The situation immediately became awkward. But the man still suspected Young-soo was their accomplice. Young-soo was so angry she almost cursed. On the other side, Do-young rushed back from abroad because her grandfather suddenly became critically ill. Seo-hyun came with her. Coincidentally, the father's treating doctor was the doctor who tried hard to save Do-young back then. Seeing Seo-hyun beside Do-young, he mistook her for Young-soo from back then. Because Young-soo's heartbroken appearance had left a deep impression on him. Feeling guilty, Seo-hyun didn't know what happened then and could only lower her head speechlessly. Later, Do-young returned home. She immediately saw the wall covered with sticky notes. Seo-hyun was shocked, thinking she was about to be exposed. But unexpectedly, after seeing the notes, Do-young thought Seo-hyun in front of her had written them. She hugged her and cried bitterly. After some time, Seo-hyun returned to her old home. Facing her biological mother whom she hadn't seen in years, Seo-hyun wasn't as excited as imagined. Instead, she wanted to completely sever ties with her mother. Her mother quickly asked why. Unexpectedly, Seo-hyun said she wanted to abandon everything from the past, including the poor mother who raised her. She wanted to live a rich person's life. Her mother was furious after hearing this. She slapped her daughter hard and angrily said she was an ungrateful wretch. But Seo-hyun wasn't awakened by the slap. She just left her heartbroken mother behind and walked away. With her adoptive father's strong support, Seo-hyun quickly became a company executive. She organized a bag design competition at Shinhwa Group. A competition that didn't look at education or resume. It was completely based on the work itself. Young-soo, who learned about this, was also full of passion. She designed a bag overnight to participate in the competition. The next day, Young-soo excitedly went to register. Then she started looking around the display cases. Just then, Seo-hyun came to this place. Hearing the voice, Young-soo looked over curiously. Seo-hyun also discovered Young-soo at this moment. So she quickly ran out when Young-soo wasn't paying attention. Back in her office, Seo-hyun became restless. She was extremely afraid that her replacement of Young-soo would be exposed. Then she quickly arranged to meet her mother. From her mother, she learned Young-soo was there to participate in the design competition. Afraid of being exposed, she immediately returned to the company and opened her computer. She wanted to use her authority to make Young-soo lose. But unexpectedly, the selection used blind judging for fairness. She had no idea which design was Young-soo's, so she could only hope Young-soo's ability was insufficient and she'd lose. But Young-soo was extremely talented. She passed all the rounds smoothly and entered the finals. For the upcoming interview, Young-soo asked her uncle to help find some leather samples. The uncle excitedly agreed without noticing his wife's nervous expression. One day, when Do-young was changing bed sheets, she accidentally found the letters Young-soo had written to her back then. Looking at these returned letters, Do-young felt sorry for young Young-soo. The adoptive father Chung-wook beside her said he did write down the correct address back then. He didn't know where the error occurred. Feeling guilty, Seo-hyun was afraid the truth would be exposed. She wanted to collect these letters. But unexpectedly, Do-young said these letters might help her recover her memory. She promised to reply to them one by one in the future. This made Seo-hyun, who was constantly afraid of being exposed, feel immense pressure. What made her even more worried was that her mother came to tell her Young-soo had entered the finals. She could only tearfully seek her mother's help. So that night, the evil aunt secretly entered Young-soo's room and destroyed her work for the finals. The next day, Young-soo, still unaware, came to the competition venue full of anticipation. When checking her work, she was horrified to find the sample had disappeared. There was only half an hour left before the interview. Young-soo anxiously told her cousin about the situation. The cousin didn't dare delay. He grabbed his things to deliver them to Young-soo. The aunt immediately stopped him and desperately stalled for time. The cousin was extremely anxious about this. Fortunately, he finally shook off his mother. Then he didn't dare stop for a moment and rode his small motorcycle speeding on the road. But just as he was about to reach his destination, he had an accident. Seeing time was running out, Young-soo immediately ran to the supermarket. She picked out a few tools she could use and rushed to the company bathroom to start making simple samples. First, she cut the yellow crossbody bag, then made a hole in the green wallet. The women nearby were amazed by her operation. Although she barely managed to make something, she was still missing a rare material. So she rushed out to find it. She accidentally bumped into the male lead Jin-hoo passing by. But she suddenly discovered Jin-hoo's tablet leather case was the material she urgently needed. So Young-soo couldn't care about anything else. She directly pulled the confused Jin-hoo into the women's bathroom. Then she frantically cut off the tablet leather case and completed her work. Before leaving, she didn't forget to leave her business card, promising to compensate Jin-hoo. Finally, she arrived at the exam room at the last moment. But she was surprised to find that 2 of the judges had conflicts with her before. And one looked exactly like her cousin. But since her cousin changed her name after being adopted by pretending to be Young-soo, Young-soo just thought she had mistaken her for someone else. Due to the loss of samples and Seo-hyun's deliberate targeting, Young-soo unsurprisingly didn't pass the final test. Feeling down, Young-soo took the bus to Do-young's villa as usual. Because today was the day Young-soo and Do-young agreed to meet every year. Sitting by the sea feeling the breeze, as long as she thought about the beautiful memories with Do-young, Young-soo's heart felt a little better. One day, Young-soo went to her friend's luxury bag shop. She wanted to know how much the tablet leather case she cut was worth. When her friend took out the same limited edition tablet leather case and told her the price, Young-soo was shocked. This price would take her decades of salary to afford. But as the saying goes, what you fear will come. Using the business card Young-soo left, Jin-hoo found Young-soo, who was setting up a stall in the underground mall. But he inadvertently saw the photo nearby and recalled his first meeting with Young-soo years ago. At that time, Jin-hoo thought Young-soo was selling copied bags. But when he saw the evidence Young-soo produced, he couldn't help but admire Young-soo's talent. He immediately decided not to require Young-soo to compensate. Young-soo immediately smiled happily after hearing this. But then Jin-hoo said the condition was that Young-soo had to make a tablet case that satisfied him. After saying this, he handed over the leather case. Young-soo immediately took out a ruler and started designing. Just as Young-soo was immersed in designing, another judge Min-ki also came to her. It turned out he really recognized Young-soo's design concept. While giving encouragement, he also hoped to communicate with Young-soo often. Young-soo happily agreed. Meanwhile, Seo-hyun, to completely get rid of her past identity, proposed to Do-young and her husband that they move. Do-young indulged Seo-hyun and agreed to design a tablet case that satisfied Jin-hoo as soon as possible. Young-soo was working day and night. After finishing, she arranged with Jin-hoo to meet at a delivery location. When Young-soo arrived, she found it was a bar. Not wanting to go in, Young-soo could only call Jin-hoo to come out. Who knew that after Jin-hoo got the item, he directly pulled Young-soo inside. After taking out the bag case she made and carefully looking at it, he said he wasn't satisfied with the tablet case Young-soo designed. He asked Young-soo to make a new one. Young-soo had no choice but to take it back to redo it. But just then, Young-soo suddenly had a nosebleed for no reason. Feeling something was wrong, she immediately ran out. Jin-hoo also chased after her in his car out of concern. Then, regardless of Young-soo's refusal, he insisted on driving her home. Due to working all night and feeling unwell, Young-soo fell into a deep sleep as soon as she got in the car. The next day, Young-soo was designing Jin-hoo's tablet case at her stall as usual. Just then, her cousin suddenly ran over and told everyone bad news. The owner of this market had gone bankrupt and fled with the money. All these shops would have to close, and the deposits they paid before couldn't be refunded. After hearing this news, the aunt fainted on the spot. Young-soo had no choice but to set up a street stall with her cousin. Just when business was good, the city management came. Young-soo, knowing she'd be fined if caught, immediately packed everything and ran. Just then, a car stopped beside her. When she was confused, she found it was Jin-hoo. Seeing her being chased by city management, Jin-hoo immediately called Young-soo to get in the car. Seeing city management about to catch up, Young-soo couldn't care about anything else and got into Jin-hoo's car. During their conversation, Jin-hoo learned about Young-soo's current situation. He immediately offered to let Young-soo work part-time at Shinhwa Group. Young-soo, who had always longed for Shinhwa Group, was extremely excited. She quickly asked Jin-hoo if it was true. After getting a positive answer, she immediately thanked Jin-hoo. Then she went back to prepare. The next day, Young-soo finally successfully joined the company. Just as a colleague was enthusiastically introducing her workstation, Seo-hyun suddenly walked in. Hearing the commotion, Young-soo turned around and immediately recognized the person in front of her as her cousin Seo-hyun. Seo-hyun, seeing Young-soo recognize her, became even more afraid of being exposed. But since Young-soo was specifically arranged by Jin-hoo, Seo-hyun didn't have a suitable reason to fire Young-soo. Since she couldn't avoid it, she had to face it head-on. Seo-hyun took the initiative to acknowledge Young-soo. Young-soo was so shocked her eyes almost popped out. But her cousin remained calm and asked Young-soo if she hadn't recognized her yet. Young-soo was happy to see her cousin after so many years. But she was still puzzled and asked, "Since you recognized me, why did you pretend not to know me before?" Her cousin, seeing she couldn't hide it, could only say she was adopted. Young-soo was very confused after hearing this. Since her uncle and aunt were both alive, why would she be adopted? Her cousin started making up lies, saying when she was studying abroad, she met her current adoptive parents. Thanks to them, she had her current position. Then the scheming cousin directly said Young-soo should leave Shinhwa Group. Young-soo looked incredulous, not knowing why her cousin wanted to drive her away. Young-soo's heart was very complex. She didn't expect that the aunt, who always valued money like her life, also started advising her to give up this excellent job. The uncle beside her really couldn't listen anymore. He turned and left the house. Young-soo also followed him out. Then the uncle told Young-soo to just follow her heart. On the other side, Seo-hyun just got home and found a letter on the table. After opening it, she found it was written by Do-young. It said that on her way to the hospital today, she recalled the scene of their first meeting. After reading it, Seo-hyun's heart, which had just settled, immediately became anxious again. What she didn't expect was that Young-soo, whom she considered naive and childish, despite being blocked by everyone, still refused to give up this internship job. This made her even more uneasy. Then Seo-hyun called Young-soo over again and questioned why she still came to the company. Young-soo explained that because the shop was taken back and she couldn't set up a stall, and for her dream of becoming a famous designer, she couldn't possibly leave. After hearing this, Seo-hyun smiled contemptuously. Then she said no matter what, she would definitely find a way to drive Young-soo away. Young-soo didn't know why Seo-hyun had so much hostility toward her and could only respond in silence. Young-soo walked on the road with a heavy heart, not even noticing Jin-hoo's appearance. It turned out Young-soo's phone was malfunctioning and would shut down randomly. Unable to find her, Jin-hoo had to stop Young-soo and urge her to quickly compensate for his tablet case. Only then did Young-soo suddenly remember that the tablet case she made last time was still in Jin-hoo's car. Young-soo didn't want her creations to be treated carelessly, so she followed Jin-hoo to get back the tablet case. Just after saying goodbye to Jin-hoo, she met Min-ki. Although she hadn't spent much time with Min-ki, he always gave her warmth when Young-soo was most helpless. To thank Min-ki, Young-soo gave him the tablet case she designed. Min-ki, looking at this ingeniously designed tablet case that completely matched his preferences, couldn't wait to use it. This greatly encouraged the downhearted Young-soo. Under Seo-hyun's deliberate exclusion, Young-soo stayed alone at the company working overtime while others went to a restaurant gathering. At the dinner table, colleagues saw Min-ki's unique tablet case and asked where he bought it. Min-ki said it was a gift from a friend. This made Jin-hoo beside him furious. The gift that was meant for him ended up in someone else's hands. Jin-hoo couldn't care about the gathering anymore. He turned around and found Young-soo to question what happened. Young-soo replied that since Jin-hoo wasn't satisfied and didn't want it, she gave the tablet case to someone else. Jin-hoo was very angry after hearing this. He immediately demanded Young-soo make him a new tablet case right away. Then, without waiting for Young-soo to say anything more, he walked away. Young-soo had no choice but to work overnight to make him a new tablet case. The next day when Jin-hoo came to work, he immediately saw the box on his desk. He excitedly opened it to check. After seeing it was the new tablet case Young-soo made for him, he smiled with satisfaction. Then he wanted to call Young-soo to praise her. But the phone still wouldn't connect. Since the internship salary was very low, Young-soo still set up street stalls as usual. Just as she was about to drink water, Min-ki came over. He enthusiastically helped Young-soo promote her bags to customers. Watching Min-ki being so earnest, Young-soo only felt he was glowing at that moment. After packing up, the two happily ate ice cream together. As they chatted, they became more and more compatible. Both had a feeling of regretting not meeting sooner. Jin-hoo, to express his gratitude to Young-soo, specially bought a gift and waited at Young-soo's door. But he couldn't wait for her to come home no matter how long he waited. How could Jin-hoo know that Young-soo was happily eating a late-night snack with Min-ki? Facing Jin-hoo's call, Young-soo hung up without thinking. Just when Jin-hoo was about to fall asleep waiting, he suddenly saw Young-soo and Min-ki walking back together, talking and laughing. This immediately made Jin-hoo feel an inexplicable anger. He immediately drove away. On the other side, Seo-hyun returned to her biological parents' home. Without a word, she took out 150 million won and threw it to her biological parents, demanding to immediately sever their biological relationship. This money was to repay them for raising her. Her father angrily threw the check on the ground and said, "You who abandoned your parents for money, don't pretend to pity the poor." After saying this, he left angrily. The usually cruel mother could only beg her daughter, saying her daughter was the family's lifeline and begging her not to leave them. However, Seo-hyun, watching her crying mother, was completely unmoved. She stood up to leave. Her mother begged more desperately, saying, "Stay and eat one last meal." Seo-hyun said she wasn't used to eating poor people's food and walked away without looking back. One day, Do-young was planting flowers in the yard when memory fragments suddenly flashed through her mind. Do-young's previous memories had recovered someone. Then Seo-hyun received a call from Do-young, who asked what the Young-soo tree and anti-tree were. Her heart immediately sank. Without answering, she hung up the phone. Then she quickly drove to the woods near the seaside villa, searching tree by tree for the anti-tree and Young-soo tree like a headless fly, but found nothing. Just when she was extremely anxious, Do-young called again, telling her she had found the anti-tree and Young-soo tree. Then Seo-hyun learned that the Young-soo tree and anti-tree weren't actual trees but a painting Do-young and Young-soo drew together when Young-soo was little. Then she reminisced with Seo-hyun about childhood stories. Seo-hyun immediately looked guilty. Facing Do-young's various questions, she could only answer cautiously. After not raising Do-young's suspicion, Seo-hyun returned to her room and collapsed on the bed. Due to excessive mental stress, Seo-hyun fell ill the next day. After discussing it, Do-young and her husband felt it must be because Seo-hyun wasn't used to living there. So they started preparing to move. But while moving Young-soo's room, Do-young found a photo of a woman. On the back was written, "Dear Mom." Do-young realized the person in the photo was Young-soo's biological mother. So to give Young-soo a surprise, she placed the photo of Young-soo's biological mother in Seo-hyun's room. Who knew Seo-hyun had no reaction after seeing it? Instead, she asked Do-young in confusion who the singer in the photo was. Then she turned it over and realized it was Young-soo's mother. So she quickly explained that since her mother had passed away so many years ago, she had somewhat forgotten what her mother looked like. This made Do-young a bit suspicious. She felt Seo-hyun was strange. She believed that no matter how much time passed, a person couldn't fail to recognize their own mother. After Do-young left, Seo-hyun looked at the photo in her hand, feeling very uneasy inside. She was even more afraid her impersonation of Young-soo would be discovered. So she was determined to quickly drive Young-soo out of the company. The next day, she instructed her subordinate Yaro to steal all of Young-soo's designs. At the company's design competition, she successfully took first place. Young-soo immediately went to question Yaro after seeing this. But Yaro said Young-soo was just an intern with no power or influence in the company. So what if she stole her design? Young-soo was speechless and could only helplessly accept this reality. But this was overheard by someone who immediately told Min-ki. Min-ki was immediately furious. After hearing this, he found Yaro to question her. When Min-ki presented the evidence, the smile on Yaro's face immediately disappeared. With the evidence clear and under Min-ki's interrogation, Yaro finally admitted to the theft. So the company held a hearing on this matter. But when the executives questioned Yaro, she flatly denied stealing. This shocked Min-ki. Just then, Seo-hyun stood up. It turned out she had already used her authority to alter the evidence. Although Young-soo tried hard to defend herself, she was no match for Seo-hyun. So afterward, she angrily questioned Seo-hyun. However, Seo-hyun only said lightly that she had already said she would find a way to drive Young-soo out. In the end, Young-soo could only helplessly leave Shinhwa Group. With nowhere to go, Young-soo could only find her best friend to complain. But she didn't know that Jin-hoo and Min-ki were searching the streets for her at that moment. Finally, in the evening, Young-soo, drunk, came home with her best friend. Jin-hoo, who had just come out of Young-soo's house, also found her. He immediately looked speechless. Then the two chatted on the side. Then Jin-hoo took out a photo from his pocket. Seeing the photo in front of her, Young-soo's eyes widened in surprise. It turned out the two had already met 8 years ago. After saying this, Jin-hoo got in his car to leave and told Young-soo to go home and rest quickly. Just then, Min-ki sent Jin-hoo a message asking if he had found Young-soo. Looking at the message in front of him, Jin-hoo made a decision in his heart. Later, Jin-hoo found Min-ki and told him that whether or not Min-ki liked Young-soo, he should give up. Because he had fallen for Young-soo himself. Min-ki was extremely shocked after hearing this and didn't know how to respond for a moment. On the other side, after hearing Young-soo was fired, the aunt immediately mocked her, saying she told Young-soo not to enter that company. Now that she was fired, how could she make money? Young-soo quickly said she would set up a street stall again to earn money and told the aunt not to worry. But the aunt still relentlessly blamed Young-soo. The uncle really couldn't stand it and got into an argument with the aunt. Fortunately, her best friend in the room called out for water. Young-soo quickly brought water inside, and the two stopped arguing. Just as Young-soo was about to go to sleep, there was suddenly a knock on the door outside. It turned out Jin-hoo had returned and handed Young-soo a new phone. But Young-soo refused Jin-hoo's kindness without hesitation. Jin-hoo could only say this was temporarily lending it to her. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to contact her when he wanted to. But Young-soo said disappointedly that she had no money and no job now, so she might not be able to pay it back. Then Jin-hoo proposed that Young-soo didn't have to pay it back, but she had to spend an hour every day teaching him sewing skills. At the same time, he promised he would definitely help Young-soo clear her name. These words deeply moved the downhearted Young-soo. Only then did she take the phone. Of course, Jin-hoo didn't really want to learn sewing. He just wanted more time to be with Young-soo. The next day, Young-soo, still immersed in sadness, suddenly thought of something. She pulled out an old newspaper from her notebook. Looking at the newspaper in front of her, Young-soo immediately made a decision. So Young-soo found Shinhwa Group's general manager and told him about her injustice. The general manager was dismissive after hearing this. Because this was ultimately a society where profit came first. However, Young-soo didn't know that the person in front of her was her biological father. Young-soo knew there wasn't much hope, so she could only leave the old newspaper behind and leave. But when the general manager opened the newspaper and saw its contents, he became very interested in Young-soo. Young-soo's cousin, after hearing she was falsely accused and fired, held up a sign in front of Shinhwa Group, determined to seek justice for Young-soo. He was immediately held down by 4 security guards. Just then, Seo-hyun came out and saw the scene. Her brother also saw Seo-hyun and called out to her for help. But Seo-hyun turned and walked away. She even called the police to have her brother arrested. The uncle also found Seo-hyun at this time, asking her to give Young-soo justice and let Young-soo return to work at Shinhwa Group. However, Seo-hyun knew that being with Young-soo would increase the possibility of exposure. She flatly refused her father's request. Just as the uncle was about to leave in disappointment, he saw someone unexpected. That was Shinhwa Group's general manager, also his sister's husband, Young-soo's biological father Suho, but the uncle didn't give him a good face. The uncle believed he had his current position entirely because he stole the uncle's father's work. Although Suho explained he didn't do such a thing, the uncle completely didn't believe it. He angrily denounced him for not even visiting his sister Haeyoung until she died. Hearing the news of Haeyoung's death, Suho immediately couldn't sit still. He quickly asked what happened. After confirming the person he once deeply loved had passed away, Suho fell into deep self-blame. On the other side, Young-soo was working part-time at the mall when she inadvertently heard someone calling Do-young's name. She turned around and found the person in front of her was the Do-young she had been thinking about. But before she could walk over, the elevator door closed. When she chased out, the person was already gone. Young-soo quickly ran to the villa where she used to live with Do-young to look for her. But she found the house had changed owners. The new owner didn't know where Do-young went. Young-soo, who returned empty-handed, could only come to the beach to cry silently, telling her mother in heaven about her pain. When she came to her senses, it was already night. She found Min-ki had appeared beside her at that moment. Seeing the exhausted Young-soo, Min-ki decisively took her to eat something to restore her strength. After learning she saw Do-young today, he immediately promised to help search. Young-soo felt better after hearing this and thanked Min-ki. Soon after, Min-ki found Do-young's current residence through a friend. Seeing the house number, he was very surprised. This was actually Seo-hyun's home. Seo-hyun, who had just gotten off work and returned home, was also surprised to see Min-ki at her door. Just as she was about to go up and ask, Min-ki asked her first if she had lived in Yongsung Island before moving here, if her mother was also a painter, and if she had known Young-soo a long time ago. The series of questions made Seo-hyun panic. Just when Seo-hyun didn't know how to answer guiltily, Do-young appeared in time to interrupt them. Seo-hyun also quickly found an excuse to run into the house. On the other side, after Young-soo got home, she also told the aunt about meeting Do-young. The aunt immediately became nervous and deliberately probed whether she had recognized Do-young. Hearing Young-soo say she lost her, she breathed a sigh of relief. Then the aunt came to Do-young's house. After finding Seo-hyun, she immediately told her about this. This made Seo-hyun's heart tighten immediately. Hearing Young-soo had lost her, she breathed a sigh of relief. Seo-hyun knew she couldn't sit still. So she found Min-ki and told him a lie. 17 years ago, her adoptive parents wanted to adopt a child. But because Do-young had a car accident and lost her memory, the adoption didn't happen. Later when they wanted to find her, they couldn't, so they adopted her instead. Although Young-soo might be the child they originally wanted to adopt, Do-young had just recovered and couldn't stand the stimulation. So she asked Min-ki to help keep this secret and definitely not tell Young-soo. After thinking it over, Min-ki chose to believe her. Soon after, the uncle brought back a sample bag. He said if they could make 100 of them within a day that passed the other company's inspection, they would have a stable customer in the future. The whole family was very happy and prepared to roll up their sleeves and start working immediately. Just as the family was working hard, Jin-hoo came to learn bag making from Young-soo. Young-soo looked at him, free labor had just arrived. So Jin-hoo naturally joined in. With Jin-hoo's addition, they successfully made the leather bags in less than half a day. Jin-hoo even drove Young-soo to the destination. After inspection, the customer was very satisfied with the leather bags and decided to have long-term cooperation with Young-soo's family. Hearing this news, Young-soo was so happy she couldn't stop smiling. She immediately jumped up and down to tell Jin-hoo the news. Jin-hoo said this was expected. Just then, Min-ki called to ask Young-soo to meet. Young-soo agreed to go to the appointment immediately. Jin-hoo became very jealous after hearing this and drove away immediately, leaving Young-soo alone and confused. Young-soo met Min-ki thinking there was good news, but was told that Do-young had amnesia and adopted another child as Young-soo. And excessive stimulation might worsen her condition. Although she found Do-young, whom she had waited 17 years for, Young-soo finally chose not to recognize Do-young out of concern for her health. With her beliefs collapsed, Young-soo cried all night and then got sick. On the other side, Jin-hoo was still working hard to clear Young-soo's name. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something. So he immediately decided to expose the company's plagiarism scandal. As expected, the next day, the company was in complete chaos. After seeing the news, Young-soo immediately understood this was Jin-hoo's doing. So she rushed to the company. But she ran into her cousin Seo-hyun, who was arm in arm with Do-young passing by her. Young-soo immediately felt greatly deceived and was shocked to the point of being unable to move. She sat in the car in a daze. At this moment, she finally understood why Seo Hyun suddenly went abroad to study 10 years ago, and why she deliberately asked her about her adoptive mother's information before leaving. And why, after meeting her again, Seo Hyun had been trying every way to drive her away. It turned out all of this was to impersonate her. As soon as she got home, the aunt started blaming her again. The uncle came out hearing the commotion to tell the aunt not to always make things difficult for Young-soo. Seeing the uncle like this made Young-soo even more unable to hold it in. She asked them why they let Seo Hyun replace her and go to Do-young's house. The aunt immediately panicked and dropped the vegetable basin. The uncle was extremely ashamed facing Young-soo's questioning. The aunt came to her senses and immediately went up to shamelessly tell Young-soo that her daughter Seo Hyun was originally better than Young-soo. Of course, she was more suitable to live in a rich family. And Young-soo was an orphan anyway, so she should live a poor life. The uncle scolded the aunt to shut up after hearing this. He pulled Young-soo, wanting to go to Do-young's place to tell the truth and let her return to her original position. The aunt panicked and blocked the door, begging Young-soo to forgive Seo Hyun. But thinking about how the aunt had targeted her all these years, Young-soo said she would never forgive the aunt. On the other side, Seo Hyun soon received a message from the aunt, learning that Young-soo knew the truth. She was extremely panicked. Just as she was about to call to find out clearly, she was horrified to find Young-soo standing not far away watching her. The two came to a riverside. Young-soo asked Seo Hyun why she replaced her, making her live in self-blame for 17 years. But she stole the happy life that belonged to her. At this time, Seo Hyun was still making excuses. She thought Young-soo could live happily no matter what. But she couldn't. Because she hated that poor family so much. Living in such a family would make her life worse than death. She would only be happy living in a rich family. Young-soo couldn't understand this robber's logic. She wanted to tell Do-young the truth. Seo Hyun said she didn't care, except that Do-young's body hadn't fully recovered and couldn't stand such stimulation. She clearly believed that kind Young-soo couldn't possibly expose her regardless of Do-young's health. Young-soo was completely enraged and slapped Seo Hyun hard. Who knew just then, Seo Hyun's chest suddenly hurt severely and she fell to her knees. Kind Young-soo ultimately couldn't bear it and sent her to the hospital. Do-young and her husband soon arrived. Young-soo watched Do-young care so much about Seo Hyun, feeling mixed emotions. How much she wanted to go forward and recognize her. But for Do-young's health, she ultimately held back. After deep consideration, she couldn't continue living at her uncle's house and planned to leave. Although the uncle tried hard to persuade her, Young-soo had made up her mind. Who knew that after learning kind Young-soo didn't go to Do-young to tell the truth, the aunt immediately became bitter again. She told Young-soo not to be ungrateful. After all, they had taken her in as an orphan back then. And Seo Hyun also promised to send Young-soo abroad to study. So Young-soo had no losses. The uncle immediately scolded the aunt to shut up after hearing this. Young-soo couldn't listen anymore. Then, regardless of the uncle's attempts to keep her, she resolutely left them. Do-young, who was accompanying Seo Hyun in the hospital, got bored and picked up Seo Hyun's phone to watch a movie. But unexpectedly, she saw Young-soo's name in the contact list. So she called with confusion. Young-soo, seeing it was Seo Hyun calling, hung up without hesitation. Just then, Seo Hyun also woke up. Learning Do-young had looked at her phone, she was immediately panicked. Fortunately, Do-young didn't say anything. After comforting her, she left. Seo Hyun immediately went to the bathroom, turned on the tap, and threw her phone into the sink. Do-young thought back to the name on Seo Hyun's phone, and the seed of doubt was planted in her heart. After leaving her uncle's house, Young-soo, with nowhere to go, could only stay at her best friend's house first. Jin-hoo, learning Young-soo had run away from home, was very worried. Then he found Young-soo's best friend to inquire about the news. After learning Young-soo was staying with her best friend, he went directly to the friend's house to find Young-soo. Then he grabbed Young-soo's luggage and walked to his car. He picked up Young-soo and put her in his car, leaving the best friend completely confused. Jin-hoo, seeing such a sad Young-soo, tightly held her hand to give comfort. Seeing someone care about her so much, Young-soo was immediately moved. Then Jin-hoo brought Young-soo back to his vacant house. To avoid making her feel burdened, he lied that this was a friend's empty house and told Young-soo to live here at ease. Already exhausted physically and mentally, Young-soo leaned on the sofa and fell asleep. Seeing this, Jin-hoo immediately thoughtfully picked up a blanket to cover Young-soo. He also thoughtfully made her a delicious feast. After some time, Young-soo finally woke up. She immediately saw the sticky note Jin-hoo left for her. There was also a delicious feast on the table. There was also a large doll keeping her company. This immediately made her feel warmth she hadn't felt in a long time. She picked up the spoon and devoured the food. After eating, she recalled Seo Hyun's various targeting of her and decided to go make a clean break. So she came to Do-young's villa, claiming to be Seo Hyun's friend. She followed Do-young into the house. Seeing Young-soo suddenly appear, Seo Hyun's eyes widened in fright. Looking at Young-soo in front of her, Seo Hyun finally felt afraid. Then she immediately knelt down to apologize, begging Young-soo not to expose her. She didn't want to return to that family with nothing. She really wasn't suited to be poor. To avoid Do-young being stimulated, Young-soo agreed not to expose her. But she would take revenge on Seo Hyun. She told Seo-hyun to cherish her current time. Then she turned to leave. Who knew that when leaving, Do-young happened to come over. Seeing her daughter Seo-hyun kneeling on the ground crying, she thought Young-soo had bullied Seo-hyun. She caught up and scolded her. Young-soo could only silently bear it. Hearing Do-young defend Seo-hyun so much, Young-soo was very heartbroken. She deeply realized that Do-young had completely left her. To avoid stimulating Do-young, Young-soo could only cry alone on the beach. After Young-soo left, Seo-hyun, to vent, tore Young-soo's mother's photo to pieces. She didn't know this behavior would completely expose her. Young-soo, not wanting to burden Jin-hoo, still moved out of his house. With nowhere to go, Young-soo had to live in a sauna. Even so, Young-soo didn't give up her dream. She posted her resume and her designed works online. Because of Young-soo's excellent design talent, she soon received interviews from design companies. Young-soo excitedly went for interviews. But she was told that to get the job, she had to transfer her design rights. Of course Young-soo was unwilling. So she bowed and left. But when luck comes, nothing can stop it. During these days at the sauna, Young-soo kept posting her designs. They caused a sensation online and received unanimous praise from fashion forums. Young-soo, who learned about this, remained calm. Because she knew the opportunity had come. So Young-soo directly found Shinhwa Group's general manager Soo-ho. She proposed using these popular designs as bargaining chips in exchange for entering the group again as a designer. Businessmen are always profit-oriented. Soo-ho agreed to Young-soo's request without hesitation. Seo-hyun, who thought she had gotten rid of Young-soo, was immediately horrified to see her appear at the company again as the company's chief designer. Young-soo, watching Seo-hyun's reaction, felt very proud. She told her to prepare to face her revenge. Back in her office, Seo-hyun hadn't come to her senses yet. Just then, her subordinate came in and told her that Young-soo's designer position was personally appointed by the general manager. Seo-hyun was so angry she threw things. Because she knew the hope of driving Young-soo out again was even slimmer. Just like that, Young-soo successfully joined the company. But she was arranged in the sample production room that hadn't been cleaned for a long time. Jin-hoo also walked in at this time. It turned out he was the group leader. Looking at the dilapidated environment, everyone had no choice but to clean up. Just as they were cleaning, Yaaro, who had previously stolen Young-soo's design, appeared. It turned out she was assigned to work in Young-soo's group. She was actually a spy sent by Seo-hyun. Young-soo was helpless about this. Then, led by Jin-hoo, Young-soo came to the gallery to find design inspiration. Unexpectedly, Do-young was also visiting there at this time. And the two met in the bathroom. But Do-young had always held a grudge about Seo-hyun kneeling to Young-soo before. Although she knew Seo-hyun might be deliberately targeting Young-soo because of work, Do-young still felt Young-soo shouldn't treat Seo-hyun like that. Watching Do-young carefully protect Seo-hyun, Young-soo felt very uncomfortable. Watching Do-young's departing figure, thinking about Do-young from when she was little, she no longer belonged to her. This made Young-soo even more heartbroken. After returning to the company, Young-soo pulled herself together and proposed the idea of processing leather bags with leather. This proposal was also adopted by everyone, but then Seo-hyun learned about this through the spy. Just as she went out, she met Young-soo. She immediately mocked the idea Young-soo came up with about using special leather to make bags. But Young-soo wasn't afraid at all and fought back, saying that the reason she gave in to Seo-hyun from childhood was not because she lacked ability, but because she gave face to her uncle. And now Young-soo thought Seo-hyun was a pitiful creature with a bad personality and no ability. After Young-soo finished speaking, she left gracefully. On the other side, the uncle finally couldn't help it. He wanted to find Seo-hyun's adoptive father to tell the truth. Although the aunt tried hard to stop him, she couldn't. So the aunt called Seo-hyun to report the news. After hearing this, Seo-hyun panicked so much she started stuttering. She immediately rushed to the adoptive father's company with utmost urgency. Just as the uncle was about to tell the truth, Seo-hyun arrived in time to stop him. Then she lied that the aunt was injured and told the uncle to quickly go with her to see. Looking at her biological daughter in front of him, the uncle ultimately didn't expose her on the spot. So he followed her outside. The uncle advised his daughter not to be stubborn anymore, not to live tormented in lies. But Seo-hyun was unwilling to give up all this. She would rather use more lies to cover up. Seeing his daughter so stubborn, the uncle was so angry his high blood pressure flared up. But in the end, he still chose to help Seo-hyun continue to hide it. Yesterday, the adoptive father heard Seo-hyun say the aunt was injured. So he came to the aunt's house to visit. But he happened to run into Young-soo, who was home getting clothes. He also helped Young-soo pick up the work ID that fell on the ground and called out to Young-soo. But when he saw the name on it, he was immediately shocked. Just as Young-soo took the work ID and was about to leave, she was called back by the adoptive father. He asked, "Is your name Young-soo?" Young-soo replied yes. So that night when he got home, the adoptive father told Do-young about this. Do-young also became quite suspicious on her end. It turned out that when she was helping Seo-hyun clean her room today, she accidentally found a sachet. Inside was surprisingly Young-soo's mother's photo, torn to pieces. Do-young was shocked. After hearing this, the adoptive father became even more suspicious. On the other side, at the new product appraisal meeting, Young-soo and Seo-hyun each explained their designs. Unfortunately, the review panel favored Seo-hyun's design more. Fortunately, the online appraisal results were neck and neck. This made Young-soo feel gratified. But Seo-hyun felt dissatisfied. She arranged for people to sell counterfeit versions of Young-soo's designed leather bags in large quantities on the market. This led to Young-soo being investigated by the company for design leaks. The craftsman who made the leather bags was also taken by the police. Unexpectedly, the craftsman insisted it was Young-soo who told him to promote them to the market. Young-soo knew the craftsman's character. He must have been bought off to say this. She hoped the police would investigate and clear her name. Just when Young-soo was frustrated, Jin-hoo found her and said he liked her. He said he went crazy for Young-soo every day. He hoped Young-soo would think about it and give him a response. Then he left, leaving Young-soo there looking confused. The next day, Young-soo called Jin-hoo over and told him to just pretend she didn't hear what he said yesterday. She didn't even know what Jin-hoo liked about her. Jin-hoo looked helpless after hearing this. He said, does a person need a reason to like another person? Isn't it enough to just like them? He didn't accept Young-soo rejecting him for this reason. He hoped Young-soo would think it over again before giving him an answer. All of this was heard by Seo-hyun hiding in the dark. Seo-hyun was very puzzled about Jin-hoo confessing to Young-soo. But prideful as she was, she forcefully ordered Young-soo to leave Jin-hoo. After all, she was the winner of the design competition. But Young-soo retorted that who she liked was her freedom. Seo-hyun had no right to interfere. However, she still underestimated Seo-hyun's shamelessness. Then she found Jin-hoo. She didn't hesitate to expose her identity as Young-soo's cousin. Then she turned black and white upside down, saying everything Young-soo did was to get revenge on her. Whether it was the chance meeting with Jin-hoo at the airport or later joining Shinhwa Group, it was all designed by Young-soo in advance. Jin-hoo was completely devastated after hearing this. Seo-hyun thought Jin-hoo wouldn't help Young-soo anymore. But when he recalled the scenes of their meetings, he still extended a helping hand to Young-soo. Seeing her plan fail, Seo-hyun went to find the chairman. She said the last plagiarism scandal was done by Jin-hoo for Young-soo. She also hypocritically said that because she liked Jin-hoo, she worried about his future and said these things. As Jin-hoo's grandfather, the chairman was indeed deceived. So he called Young-soo and forced her to break up with Jin-hoo. Young-soo had no choice but to agree. But she demanded to get back her design rights. Jin-hoo's heart was extremely pained. He couldn't believe Young-soo would give him up for profit. On the other side, Seo-hyun's good days were about to end. The adoptive father, suspicious, had his secretary investigate the aunt's family. Through investigation, he found that the current Seo-hyun at home was very likely not their real adoptive daughter, but the uncle's biological daughter. And the Young-soo he saw at the uncle's house that day was his real adoptive daughter. Because the identity card number of the aunt's biological daughter was exactly the same as Seo-hyun's. Do-young heard all of their conversation. She was very shocked by this. Her beloved daughter had told such a big lie. Seeing Seo-hyun suddenly come back, Do-young felt very depressed inside. She coldly turned and left. At this time, Seo-hyun still didn't know her lie had been exposed. She thought something big had happened at home. The next day, the adoptive father called Young-soo's uncle to the office, wanting him to confess himself. The uncle knew this day would come sooner or later. Then he knelt directly in front of the adoptive father, admitting that because of his momentary greed, he sent his biological daughter to the adoptive father's home. After learning the truth, Do-young completely broke down. Recalling the scene of meeting Young-soo a few days ago, she not only didn't recognize Young-soo at that time, but also blamed Young-soo because of some disputes between Seo-hyun and Young-soo. Thinking about these things, Do-young couldn't help but cry out loud. She said she wanted to immediately sever ties with Seo-hyun, but her husband stopped her and told her to give Seo-hyun a chance to confess herself. After all, they had raised Seo-hyun for so many years. All of this was heard clearly by Seo-hyun outside the door. Learning her identity was exposed, she immediately panicked, and her heart hurt again. Then Do-young felt she couldn't wait another moment. So she immediately went to find Young-soo to recognize her. Do-young called Young-soo's name. Young-soo turned around incredulously after hearing it. Do-young said she was Aunt Do-young, the Do-young that Young-soo thought about every day. After hearing Do-young say this, 18 years of longing and grievances surged up in an instant. Tears flowed uncontrollably. After waiting bitterly for 18 years, the two finally recognized each other again. At this time, the two finally couldn't suppress their emotions anymore. They hugged each other and cried out loud. Then Do-young apologized guiltily to Young-soo. It was all her fault for not recognizing Young-soo. But Young-soo didn't blame Do-young. As long as Do-young could recover her health, Young-soo was very happy. Then the two came to the beach and recalled the beautiful times they spent together 18 years ago. When talking about Young-soo's wall full of sticky notes missing Do-young couldn't help but cry for Young-soo again. On the other side, although Seo-hyun knew she had been exposed, she still acted as if nothing happened. She brazenly continued to live in Do-young's house. To please them, Seo-hyun personally cooked Do-young's favorite fried fish. She also deliberately brought up childhood events for Do-young to hear, trying to evoke Do-young's compassion. Do-young really couldn't stand such shameless Seo-hyun. She got up and left expressionlessly. The adoptive father felt a bit reluctant. So he went to advise Do-young to calm down. After all, they had lived together for 10 years. They should still wait for Seo-hyun to confess on her own, which would preserve her last bit of dignity. Seo-hyun, seeing this, could only eat the steak alone with tears flowing. But she was determined not to confess voluntarily, even if it killed her. The next day, the uncle found Seo-hyun, hoping she would move out of Do-young's house and not make herself look worse. But Seo-hyun was still stubborn. She said as long as Do-young didn't tell her to leave, she would never give up the superior life she had now. No matter what, she would continue. The uncle, seeing Seo-hyun unrepentant, could only leave in disappointment. After recognizing Young-soo, Do-young stuck with Young-soo every day to make up for Young-soo's longing for her over more than 10 years. Just as the two were happily eating a feast, Soo-ho came to the restaurant with Seo-hyun. When Seo-hyun saw Young-soo with Do-young, she was shocked. Feeling panicked, she quickly ran to the bathroom. A strong sense of suffocation surged up, making her heart hurt again. Just then, Young-soo also followed in. She washed her hands while looking at Seo-hyun as if to show off. Seo-hyun, seeing this, couldn't stand it and immediately questioned Young-soo, "Are you showing off in front of me that you took away my mom?" Young-soo retorted, "You know very well who your real mom is." The next day, after learning Seo-hyun was exposed, the aunt came to Do-young's house with an uneasy heart. She stood at the door for a long time, not daring to ring the bell. Just then, Do-young came back from outside. The aunt immediately rushed up and took all the blame on herself. But Do-young had long seen through her purpose. Regardless of her pleas, she turned and walked back home. In the blink of an eye, a month passed. Do-young and her husband didn't wait for Seo-hyun's confession. So they directly told her to return to her original home. After hearing this, Seo-hyun fell to her knees with a thud. She begged her adoptive parents for forgiveness, crying that although her identity was fake, her love for them was real. And over the years, she had long regarded them as her biological parents. After hearing her words, Do-young recalled scenes of Seo-hyun massaging and washing her feet before. She felt Seo-hyun still loved her. Thinking about this, she couldn't help but cry. In the end, she softened and agreed to let Seo-hyun continue staying in this home. But what Seo-hyun didn't expect was that the next day when she came home, she saw Young-soo also at home. And she was holding an adoption consent form in her hand. Obviously, Do-young wanted to re-adopt Young-soo. Her heart immediately filled with intense jealousy. Then she angrily returned to her room. She sat in front of the mirror applying face cream, and her eyes involuntarily reddened. Late at night, she quietly went downstairs and pushed open Do-young's bedroom door. Seeing Do-young and Young-soo sleeping intimately in one bed, she immediately felt like something of hers had been taken away. She knew she couldn't go on like this, so the next day, she found Jin-hoo and proposed a marriage alliance with him. After the wedding, she would give Jin-hoo her shares in Shinhwa Group. During this time, Jin-hoo's father had passed away. Plus, General Manager Soo-ho was preparing to make a move to seize Shinhwa Group from Jin-hoo's hands. So Jin-hoo agreed to Seo-hyun's request. The news of Jin-hoo and Seo-hyun's engagement spread widely through the media. Young-soo, learning about Jin-hoo's engagement, couldn't sit still anymore. She found Jin-hoo to ask if he was getting revenge on her. But Jin-hoo, having believed Seo-hyun's lies, said Seo-hyun was the same as Young-soo. Both were with him out of need. Young-soo listened to Jin-hoo's heartless words, feeling very pained inside. Jin-hoo suppressed his impulse and watched Young-soo leave. But soon he heard the truth from someone else. It turned out that after the chairman demanded Young-soo break things off with Jin-hoo, Young-soo was unwilling. She didn't want to give up. So she started a competition with the chairman, planning to use the success or failure of her design to decide whether she was qualified to date Jin-hoo. But because of Seo-hyun's conspiracy, Young-soo lost the competition. After learning the truth, Jin-hoo immediately found Young-soo to question her. Young-soo knew she couldn't hide it anymore and told him what happened. With the misunderstanding cleared up, the two hugged each other tightly. After getting back together with Young-soo, Jin-hoo refused to pretend to maintain the engagement contract with Seo-hyun. He chose to give up the shares in Seo-hyun's hands. And the war that belonged to Jin-hoo officially began. In front of everyone, Jin-hoo grandly introduced designer, Young-soo. He said the Venus brand created by Soo-ho was actually created by the former chairman. He also asked Young-soo to confirm this fact and accused Soo-ho of being disloyal to Shinhwa Group. He also presented evidence from his investigation. After Jin-hoo's argument, the proposal to remove Soo-ho from his general manager position passed unanimously. However, this wasn't over yet. From the uncle, Soo-ho unexpectedly learned that Young-soo was his biological daughter. Soo-ho was shocked after hearing this. Thinking back to his encounter with Ha-young the day before she died, regret filled Soo-ho's heart. After learning the truth, Soo-ho immediately found Young-soo to recognize her. Young-soo was also shocked to hear this news. So she found Jin-hoo and told him this news. Learning he had taken down his future father-in-law, Jin-hoo immediately panicked. But at this time, after finding Young-soo, Soo-ho had let go of his obsession. He shook hands with his former subordinates one by one to say goodbye. Then he came to Jin-hoo and told him he must take good care of his daughter. Then he turned and left again. On the other side, Seo-hyun knew she had completely lost. Having lost everything, she finally came to her senses. Then she left Du Young's house alone and went to a monastery, planning to spend the rest of her life repenting for her mistakes. At the end of the story, Yongsoo and Jinhoo joined hands for life. They also kept striving for their dreams and eventually reached the whole world. Thus concludes the Korean drama, Her Myth. I spent 190 hours making this plot explanation. If you can, please give me a like and follow.